Hello, and welcome to Every Day is Funny. I want to thank everyone who both participated and voted in the Jeb Bush meditation debate. It'll be known in future generations as the great Jeb Bush meditation debate of 2024. It also got me thinking how amazing it is for people who saw the Instagram poll and had no idea, had never listened to the show, had no idea what I was referring to, and just confusing them. That made me happy to think. Right now, out of 8 votes, we are sitting at a clean 50-50. So, which I think is good. It kind of demands us to continue the meditation conversation when we as a people are that split. Before we get into comics today, I'm a gamer, and I've noticed a trend with gaming recently. There's a lot of simulator games. Flight simulators, farming simulators, truck driving simulators. A lot of games that have you very realistically portraying things in a way that I don't think game developers would have thought people would have wanted to do in the past. And I wanted to throw my hat in the ring with my own simulator idea. So this game would be called Ragtime Saloon Piano Player Simulator. And basically you would just chronicle the rise and fall of a ragtime saloon piano player in the Wild West. And, just going through all of the classic steps, all of those classic trappings. You'd come into town, you could befriend the local saloon owner. You go through the audition process, which probably back then isn't too difficult or competitive. It's probably just, can you play this one ragtime song over and over again? But then, it's not all fun and games. You deal with shootouts in the saloon, know when a fight escalates to the point where you have to stop playing or else you'll be killed. If you ever watch in media a fight go down in a saloon, it starts to escalate, and then it really bubbles up into something, and then they cut to the piano player, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna stop now." So you have to know when that moment is. Also, you get extra points anytime you do a long-range spit into a spittoon. But then, as the years go by, you see the West start to die down. Maybe even get to the point where you're dealing with prohibition. You can choose to side with the saloon or be a mole for the anti-saloon league. Feed them salacious dirt on the town's inhabitants. You get found out for being a mole. You get run out of town. Then you start to learn about jazz music. Decide if you'll join that movement or dismiss it as a fad, like everyone does with any new genre. And then it all kind of ends with you going to play in movie theaters, accompanying silent films. So I don't know, this is just like a one simulator idea. I don't know. Maybe it's the greatest thing ever, but think about it. I just want you to think about these things. Nobody out there has to take any action. You don't have to invest. Just think about it. Good God. Anyway. Also, I think this is episode 24. So, before we get to the comics, I did just want to read a random quote by the character Jack Bauer from the show 24 and see if I find that meditative or inspiring in any way. So I pulled up the 24 wiki, and I'm just gonna pick a random quote without looking at it. Here we go. Jack Bauer, cradling someone's dead body, says, "I'm so sorry, so sorry." What am I doing? Yeah, that made me think, but not in the right way. Just made me think, what am I doing this 24-bit? Let's go to the comics. I thought we should, big day for the comics community this Friday. It is the release of the Garfield movie. And I don't know if I'm going to see the movie this weekend in theaters, but I definitely want to do something. Maybe eat lasagna for breakfast or something. But in anticipation of the film, I do believe we should read another Garfield comic. I mean, this could bring newspaper comics back into the national conversation where they once were. Could also make this show the biggest thing since sliced bread. So let's read some Garfield for May 22nd. Odie is saying to Garfield, "Bark." Garfield responds to Odie, "Meow." Then they switch it up. Garfield says, "Bark." Odie says, "Meow." But then they get confused. Garfield says, "Bark." Odie says, "Meow." I like that. We never hear them make the simple animal noises. And now at this point, they're not even sure what's right. They're just used to talking. Something about this feels even deeper, but I can't. Maybe it's too early. I can't access that line of thought. But I'll just say this is very, very deep without having the proof or knowledge to back it up. I wonder when the last time lasagna actually made an appearance in Garfield is. Wait a minute. Did that sentence make Garfield is? You know what I mean. When have we seen lasagna last? All right, let's move on to Zippy the Pinhead, which I read a few days back, maybe a week ago. And it was my favorite comic I had read up to this point. Very silly, a little nonsensical. And I want to be returning to it a lot, so Zippy the Pinhead time. Okay. See, this is what I'm talking about. Right away, they just visually draw you in with some insane stuff. So we have a large Tin Man sculpture, and he's holding a mallet and clippers of some kind. And he's talking to a strange clown-looking character. The Tin Man says, "Greetings, flesh and bones man. Let's have a heart-to-heart." And the man says, "But Tin Man, your heart is just pasted onto your metal chest." Tin Man says, "And yet, I have feelings and yearnings. Go on, test me on my feelings and yearnings." The man says, "Okay, how do you feel about the eternal rivalry between Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd?" The Tin Man says, "I'm sorry, I don't know of them. Did they just release rap albums on Spotify?" The man says, "Did anyone ever tell you to wear your heart on your sleeve, Tin Man?" This is great stuff. This has one foot in the old school. Maybe it's this visual style and if you're looking at this strip with me, the first panel makes it seem as though they're in a normal town or something. Kind of Wild West looking, but whatever, kind of normal. But then the last panel, you see off into the distance and it's just mountains. The first panel shows the only two buildings anywhere in a 30-mile radius. So I can't like figure out our setting. There's something off kilter about the whole thing. Obviously, the choice of two characters having this exchange is bizarre. The Tin Man seems to be a mascot for this food store, or maybe a stoves company. I just think it's really imaginative. And I'm not being ironic in any way. I really like this comic. There's I think a worry that you're being lame, leaning into like current trends by saying rap albums on Spotify. But I think coming from a giant Tin Man mascot outside of a store, it's not lame. It's pretty funny. I love this comic. Are there any comments? There's two. Everyone knows it's really duck season. Okay. What do you think? You're funnier than Zippy? I wasn't funnier than Zippy. Why would you even comment? I know I'm not going to be funnier than Zippy. I'm not commenting anything. All right, let's finish her up. It's Rex Morgan MD time. If you're just joining us, it's a comic strip about a family whose patriarch is a doctor. But right now we've been jumping along to various auxiliary characters in the Rex Morgan universe. So let's see if we meet somebody new today. Yeah, new people again today. Headline up top. Jordan keeps busy with his restaurant. His pal Red helping out as much as his health allows. Red says just seated a party of 6. Jordan says good. Oh, and that's it for those two characters. That's all we get. Then we go to new characters. A nurse. Michelle proves herself essential to the smooth running of the Morgan Clinic every day. Michelle says, patient in exam room 3 is ready to see you, June. Okay, we'll get back to that. Finally, a couple sits on a couch with a cat behind them. The hard-working couple enjoys the little downtime they have together. Okay, again, fascinating stuff. I have questions about each of these three. First up is Jordan and Red in this restaurant setting. I think Jordan's response to Red saying a party of 6, I think Red expected a bigger response. And it seems like he expected like Jordan to be proud of him, as if he had recruited the 6 people to come eat there. All he did was seat them. So I think Jordan's reaction is one of like, okay, you don't have to just get back to work. I'm making food, calm down. We've had 6 people in here before. Also, what is wrong with Red's health? I'm sure, longtime readers of the strip know this, but a note to the author, I do little recaps before we read each of these. If you haven't been back to these characters in, I presume, months, at least, maybe just give a recap and address what you mean by Red's faltering health. Anyway, moving on to the middle panel, we are finally seeing the inside of Rex Morgan's clinic. Even if Rex is not there, we see Michelle and Rex's wife. So this is proof for me, who hasn't been reading this a long time, proof that Rex really is a doctor. I was starting to doubt maybe he's just keeping up appearances, lying to his family, and driving to a secret family every day. But no, Rex has a practice and clinic. So that's really cool to see. Finally, the hard-working couple enjoys the little downtime they have together. Do they not have names? Why does everyone else get a name and the hardworking couple is just a unit, a nameless unit, who sleeps all the time anytime they're together. They're sleeping upright. They both fell asleep upright. I don't know. I know we're just going to leave these people tomorrow, and I'll have more questions than answers, so I don't want to grow too attached to these characters. But I'm confused about the hardworking couple. Let's check the comments. TD2 says, I guess from the point of view of Michelle, patient in room 3 is ready to see you, June. June says, June is still a week away. Tell them they'll have to wait a bit. That's funny. Month humor. I love month humor. So that's really good for me. That time I was being ironic. Okay, let me think of what to comment here. Okay, I'm gonna, probably not a good idea, but I'm gonna comment a joke about Red's health. And I'm gonna say, seating the table of 6 takes a lot out of Red and his debilitating health, and he dies shortly after they order their appetizers. Let's see how the kingdom feels. By the way, I get emails that people are liking these comments, so I'm growing in popularity in this community. I will soon be their leader. Send. All right, I think it's time to wind down. Wednesday, May 22nd. I should also say, and I should start saying this every episode, it would be really fantastic if you could follow and rate the show on Spotify, follow us on Instagram, all that stuff, Facebook, and I'm working on getting this onto Apple Podcasts, which will hopefully happen either today or tomorrow. But please share the show with anyone you think might enjoy it. I'm really hoping to grow this into something, I won't say big, it's a pretty niche idea, but, big-ish. And that certainly will take assistance from y'all. But if not, I just appreciate you listening. I hope you have a great day. And remember, every day is funny.